Welcome back to Table Talks. I'm your host Anmol Agrawal, and today's episode is going to be a lot more special. Today we have a very dynamic mother-son duo with us, Shilpi and Satyadeep Sonar. Shilpi Sonar is a renowned interior designer who's also a founder of Creations. Satyadeep is a skilled architect and founder of Urban Saints. Together, they are co-founder of Aesthetic Institute of Designs. They have made strong waves in this industry with their creativity and passion. So yes, let's dive into a deep conversation with them and listen it from the horse's mouth. Welcome to the podcast, Satyadeep and Shilpi ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Please tell us what influenced you to start this journey.
Well, my story is quite a long one, of course. As a young child, I was always interested in, making the house beautiful, keeping it, the smaller nitty-gritties of making makeovers and all was very in me always. I really wanted to do something more into it, and when I finished my 12th, I took my admission in B.Tech, which is one of the most beautiful amalgamation of a course of architecture and interiors, and it was a 4-year course in Nagpur. I'm from Nagpur basically, Nagpur University, and that started up with all what I really wanted to do in life. So I studied basically more of architecture, but then my inclination towards interiors was so strong that I actually paved myself towards this. And in the year 1988, I passed out of my college, and I really wanted to do something, very unique. And that has been always my way of, understanding myself and wanting to do something in life. And well, that started with all my बोलते हैं ना जो आप चाहते हो और कायनात आपकी help करता है. That is the way it all started, and I interned with a wonderful architectural group in Nagpur, but that was not the end of it, because next 89 I got married, and I always thought that I wanted to do something more in life. My husband helped me in paving my path towards this. And in 1990, I got a wonderful job in Raipur. That is the way I came to Raipur as a consultant to Larsen and Toubro. So that is how actually interiors and interior designing came into my system, and I carried forward this, and today whatever I am because of this.
Very nice. So tell me, with boldness and years of experience, did you find it challenging to establish an identity in a male-dominated field?
Yes, of course. Definitely it was very difficult, because when I started my career, it was not, there were very few women in this field. And of course, it took quite a time. It took me, I really had to make people understand that a woman can also do something which a man is doing these. So of course, interior designing, I feel, should actually be definitely a part of a woman's domain, because women are born creative, and I actually feel that interior designing, which is done by a woman, is something more unique, more intricate, because a woman thinks like that. उसकी सारी ज़िंदगी जो वो thinking होती है ना, बड़ी संजो के intricate सबके इच्छाओं को पूरा करना. So I think interior designing is also such, because we are catering to somebody's ideas, somebody's dreams, somebody's, they want, for example, when people come to me, they say, Shilpi ma'am, हमें ऐसा बहुत सुंदर घर चाहिए, हमें आप बहुत अच्छा सा कुछ बना दीजिए ताकि हम हमेशा उसमें खुश रहें. So that is something, खुशी जो है वो बहुत intricate part होती है designing की भी, because I am giving that happiness to somebody for whom I'm working. And that is something which I think a woman can do much more better than a man.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, sapno ko sajana is your motto and the aim.
Yes.
Very, very nice. And Satyadeep, how did you happen to join her?
So, in my early days, I did see mom and dad make huge impact in the lives that they were working with. I mean, for those clients that they were working for. And somewhere down the line, I think it imbibed in me the characteristic of, doing something that matters to, empower or make something better in terms of lifestyle for these, for the people. So I think subconsciously, it just came in. Initially, I was never going to be an architect or a designer. I had an ambition of becoming a doctor.
Okay.
And somehow some things are destined, I suppose. There were some paradigm shifts in my thought process, and the next thing I knew that I was doing my architecture from Manipal, and then somehow now it seems I was born to do this only. So I'm very passionate about this
Excellent.
field, and it gives an amazing sense of pride that I get to work with my own mom, and together we are doing quite interesting things.
Of course, you've been infusing fresh and new modern ideas in her
Yes.
journey. So it's
Yes.
a great job. But tell me, working together can also be a blessing but a challenge. So what are the kind of challenges that you face?
Well, to be honest, I think the blessing part is just her support and her companionship in this journey. Everything else is quite the contradictory, because like the amount of so I get a very small fraction for failure.
Okay.
I mean, I am supposed to be excellent in everything that I do.
Wow.
Now, because the society judges my faults with her, so they associate my faults with her, which I don't want to let happen. Like I don't want to let my mother down. So that is a major challenge that I face, because I have to push myself really hard. It is, I think, I'm really up for it, because it really helps me better my game in terms
Absolutely.
of designing. But at the same time, criticism is quite always at the fray. Like everybody's always waiting कि कुछ तो fault करे, and then we can blame कि ma'am क्या सिखाया अपने सत्या को. But regardless of that, I think it is a fun experience to push yourself harder.
Okay.
And perform better.
Of course. So together, what is your most memorable project?
We are doing a lot of projects together, and of course every project that he is doing architecture in for, there I am the interior designer. And Anmol, to tell you, it is really very tasking also, because earlier I was given a project done by an architect, right? So things were much easier. अगर कुछ गलती होती तो मैं तुरंत आर्किटेक्ट को भी बोल सकती हूँ कि सर ऐसी ऐसी चीज़ें हैं, यू कैन मेक द डिफरेंस, यू कैन मेक अ लिटिल चेंज. But now, since he is my son first, then he is an architect in that project. So it is actually much more challenging. It is difficult also, because I have to keep patience with him for a longer time. Wherein earlier it was not so. Earlier it was like, okay, घर बन चुका है, मैम अब आप इंटीरियर डिजाइनिंग इसका कर दीजिए, राइट? तो मुझे बना बनाया चीज़ मिल जाता था, उसी में मुझे अपने आप, I used to do my designing and planning and execution and all that. But up to right from the base, I have to see everything, So many a times, but he is giving me such beautiful spaces to design, because he always knew what his mom could do. So that sort of an understanding we both used to share. कि सत्या अगर इस घर को इस तरह से बनाते तो बहुत अच्छा लगता ना, तो
subconsciously those things were in my mind.
Yes,
I will
yes.
never so I have learned designing in different houses. Like I've studied somewhere else. I've never worked with mom before my practice. I've always worked with somebody else. But the essence of design, our architecture in general, is imbibed in me through her experiences. Her description of ideal spaces, her description of the problems that she's facing in those projects, right? So somewhere down the line, the reason it's hard to answer a memorable project, because we are making memories every day.
Yes.
In every project.
Yeah, in every project. And also the journey is now longer for her. Earlier, the journey was shorter. Once the civil was done, then came the actual journey of her being, right? Now she's there from the scratch. Like she's seeing all the problems and the victories and triumphs and all those things in a project, right? So yeah, the journey is longer.
Okay.
And once you spend more time, you get our riffs are now not just limited to office. Earlier, if she had a riff with some architect, it would be till office, right? Now it carries forward to to our house as well, and then the dynamics move and this. So yes, mentally it is a little more challenging, but I think we are enjoying working.
We are really enjoying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice. The rise of AI tools, do you think architects can be replaced in the near future?
My personal take on this is architecture as a profession, as a field, is very human centric. It's never about just making a plan and getting it executed.
Okay.
It is always about personal touches of the client, of the user, of anybody that is going to use the space in general. So I have to consider human or the user as the final judge for the space, right? So AI can give you fantastic facades. It can shorten the time that you actually spend on designing or
reduce
elaborating.
your workload.
Yeah, the production value could go down, but essence of space will always come from a human conversation, which is impossible to get through AI.
So you are not threatened by it?
I think maybe it takes another 10 more years to be threatened by AI as such in architecture.
Okay.
It's a tool right now.
Right,
People who are using it well are, they are taking benefits of it. And overdoing AI is also a threat. But the only threat that I see from AI is the expectation from the human mind that is going to really shoot up. And that is something that is the only threat that we have as architects. Because, a client's expectation is going to be like, you have to compete with computers that is processing so many ideas in one go. We are humans.
Right.
We can conceive things, but it's hard to produce them on paper or drawings.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Shilpi, please tell us, let's bring you to 2024. Had your journey started in 2024, what benefit would you avail now which you couldn't avail back in your time?
So I think the tools which you're talking about, right, probably when I started, we never had AutoCAD and all that, right? So it took a lot of time for us to understand the tool, to get into it. Abhi to it is so easy for the children. Like they have something in their mind and that can be easily, achieved. Wherein we did everything hand drawings. So it was very tough for us at that time. I mean, I am working almost 36, 37 years now. So it was very difficult at that time to put things, everything was in, that paper and pencil and or the drafting tools. Up to life has changed dramatically, and it is so easy for me to tell my children that I want this 3D, in 4 hours, and
it's done.
It's done.
It's done, yes.
So if I had, I sometimes feel, Anmol, that I should have been born a little more, later. I should have started my career so that probably with these tools also I could do something more.
Of course, with the passion
yes.
you have inside you, you should be in our generation.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm pacing myself with the younger generation because I can't be talking about my era, 3 decades before, 3.5 decades before ka kaam. I cannot do it right now. It actually needs to be, every day I'm evolving. So I'm actually working zyada than these children. I mean,
it's true. The amount of work that she has to put in is twice.
Yes.
Because see, I always, discuss this with everybody in our office that we have to unlearn and then learn again.
Yes.
And it's a process that is continuous in terms of design, right? She has been doing it for the last 3.5 decades. Sometimes sometimes things come back. And she's already done. So there have been instances, this is a true story, Anmol. There have been instances which we have referenced now for a project, and I've gone to a previous site, like an old client had called ki ab renovation karna hai. I've gone there and it's there, which is done 15 years ago.
My God.
15 years ago, and it's a true story. And I'm like, Mom, I was just referencing this for some other project, and
Excellent.
and you've already done this, and she doesn't even remember.
Oh.
So she doesn't even remember कि ये सब चीजें हो चुकी है.
Because I am doing it, I'm actually taking the new things also in my stride, na?
Absolutely.
So you understand, I'm pacing twice the way these children are pacing. So sometimes you forget. Sometimes when I go to those sites, I see, oh my God, this is what I've done by me. So it is something like, it's an eye opener sometimes for me, you know, oh wow, this is so beautiful. And it is all intact, Anmol. The work that we had done 30, 25 years, 30 years before are still there. Nothing has happened to it. And similar things have come back again.
Of course,
It's
old
full
is gold.
circle.
We can
Yeah.
never deny that.
I would also like to add one more small thing. I think what Mom was saying is that her source of inspiration was very, like it's in today's world, you can get inspired very easily, you can get references very easily.
Yes.
In her time, I think it was all about the brain. Like,
Right.
it was, if you need a reference, it has to be in your brain somewhere,
Absolutely. Not on
so,
Instagram.
Yeah, so that is something that I think would have changed completely in terms of.
Actually, if I was, if I had started my career now, probably I would have done something different because I've got so many things in my hands. So like for something, I open a reference image and I get to understand there are so many, standing by next to me, I can just put anything anywhere. But at that time, we had no major books also. We never had any other tools. Rather, it was everything. You have to think about it. You have to get into the project. You have to visualize it. You have to conceptualize it, and then you have to put it on the paper.
And get it executed as well,
And
to that
yes.
level, to that perfection. Otherwise, then again it falters.
Yes. So our workings, our drawings were so meticulous. We did all the sections, we did all the elevations all by ourselves. And it was so difficult for us sometimes because as young professionals, we don't know how it will turn out to be.
Right.
Yes.
So that was the biggest challenge. You understand?
Right.
Today you can see something, you can show the carpenter, you can show the stone fitter, you can show the plumber, you can show everyone that it should look like this.
And you can predetermine the problems as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But
Right.
there in my time, I never had this thing in front of me. So everything was preconceived and I used to be on the edge always. Yeah, they always say, no, Mom, why are you so anxious about everything? Because it has come into my blood.
Yes.
I was always anxious. I was about how the product will come out to be. And every time it came out beautiful, it was a pat on my back, and every time it went berserk, it was again, a big eye opener for me that next time this should not happen.
Right.
So
There's always
I've-
a learning.
So I've learned a very hard way and a very beautiful way. I've learned it so well that thing will never go wrong.
No one can challenge that
Yeah,
experience.
Yes, that's true, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So what was the turning point of your journey?
So, Anmol, I was working as a intern in Nagpur, right? And my Betha was in Chandrapur, which is closer to Nagpur in Maharashtra. And he was working for a cement group, okay? So, when I went there, I had nothing to do. I mean, like, just be a normal housewife, which I really didn't want to actually, because I was a very focused human being. Apart from me being focused, my mother was majorly focused on my career, right? So she always told me that you should do something in life. So that always had hit me very badly. So when I went to Chandrapur, I had nothing there. I gave birth to Satyadeep, right? That was one of the beautiful things that happened to me at that time. And after he was 6.5, 7 months old, I started, telling my better half that I want to do something more apart from, doing all this, whatever is there, which is I can manage. He said, how will you do it? Though somehow he planned to, come to Chandrapur and start working with an architect, but it did not really work very well. This happened and I was like quite nervous about the whole thing, how my life will. See, I am a human being, I really should have something to look forward to. That is my, basically my character, okay? So, I told him, I better have, this is not going to work. I can't be sitting at home and just, brooding, ki ab kya kare, ab kya kare. Then he said, okay, fine, what is there in your mind? He said, I want to go back to Nagpur. He said, fine, will you be able to manage? I said, yeah, let me see. So I went back to Nagpur with my little child, and I told him, I promised him that I'll be with you for 15 days and I'll start working in a firm which I was working earlier for 15 days. So that was a thing which I actually, conceptualized, and I thought I can manage. It was quite tough because having a child and then, managing the whole show and then taking care of the husband was also a big task. When I came to Nagpur, I was put in the office where I was working earlier, and they had started with a knockdown furniture store, which again helped me in my interior designing, my inclinations, right? Because I really wanted to do something in interior designing, not in architecture, right? So suddenly my boss said, Shilpi, there is a cement plant which is coming up in Raipur, and I think they have some project wherein they want a temporary guest house to be made for their German engineers. I said, fine. So we need to get that, they had put up a tender, and we need to take that tender. And I think because you have a background of L&T, Larsen & Toubro, you can always, seek that, understand how we can. Somehow we put a bid and we got that project. And that project came out very well. It was a temporary guest house built in a shipping canters, containers. So, and that came out so well, the Germans were very happy, and somehow I was in the air, yes, because I did such a beautiful job and I was very happy about it. Somehow I had to drop my idea of working with my mentors further. One fine day, the boss of the cement industry, he called me up and asking about and congratulating me for my work. And he said, Shilpi, you've done a wonderful job, and what is next in your life? What are you doing next, and for whom are you working? So I said, sir, there was some problem with the thing, and I've left my job and I'm not doing anything now. So he said, fine, well, you should, carry forward with your career, because I see something very nice in your style, in your ideas, and I think you should take this forward. So another 7-8 days later, he just called me up and he said, are you ready to do something more in your life? I said, yes, sir. He said, oh, okay, then you come over to Raipur. See Raipur, how I came to Raipur, that's very interesting. So I came to Raipur, and I was presented in front of almost 10-12 professionals from the company. It was a multinational company, and they had all flown from Mumbai just to take my interview and understand whether I can take up this project or not, because I was very young. They opened up all the drawings in front of me and they said, this is what we want you to do. We want you to take care of all the drawings that is coming from Steen, Doshi and Bhalla. They are from Ahmedabad, and we want an in-house architect and a designer. And we are all chemical engineers, mechanical engineers and all that, and we want this to be taken care by you. Will you be able to make it? And Anmol, it was like as if ऊपर वाले ने ना छप्पर फाड़ दिया and said, yes, take it, So that was it. अब कितना काम करोगी बताओ, लो, So I think I have designed almost 1,000 bungalows, medical center, schools, their community spaces, their offices. It was a huge
guest houses,
project. Yes.
Humongous.
Schools,
Humongous.
everything.
I think the entire project is 600 acres almost of land which was
Township,
there.
yeah.
Township.
Wow.
It was a huge place, and I have designed all the interiors of it, the staff quarters, ke furniture, everywhere, whatever needed was done by me. The civil work was done by the architects, they were from Ahmedabad, and the interiors was done by me. And this project took almost 5 years.
Okay.
So 91 se 96 tak I was involved in this project. Yes. and I was the youngest consultant to Larsen and Toubro, and I take a lot of pride in that, because it gave me immense satisfaction. It gave me immense confidence that I can do anything in this world. That sort of a confidence to a young girl was more than enough for that person to have, wings to fly.
Right.
So true.
Right?
To establish your own identity.
Yes, and that too in a place called Raipur, because at that time Raipur was just Madhya Pradesh. It was not even Chhattisgarh. छत्तीसगढ़ तो 2000 में बना है, मैं 95, 96 की बात कर रही हूँ, right? So it was so beautiful. I thought this is what I want in life and this is the way I am going to shoot, and I was very confident of everything कि इसके बाद तो मुझे कोई नहीं रोक सकता.
There's no stopping.
There's no stopping. So they wanted me to go to a different such place and do their project again. But that was quite a far off distance. It was in Andhra Pradesh and Satyadeep was just growing up. So I said, itna far off distance ka mujhe thoda difficult lagta hai, because language problem, everything was a difficult scene there. So I actually said no to them. And that saying no to them, I think sometimes really gives me a pinch, because you know what, I could have multiplied my potentials into, it could be huge.
Right.
आज मैं कुछ और अलग जगह पे भी शायद हो सकती थी.
Absolutely.
Right? But then I thought, no, इसकी life का भी मुझे बहुत वो था कि now this child is growing and I need to give him time. I need to, shape his future. So that was there in my mind and I stayed put in Raipur. And that was it. Raipur में मुझे कुछ नहीं मिला काम. I started my office. मैं बहुत मुश्किल से रायपुर, नागपुर, हिरमी, the place which I'm talking about is 60 kilometers from Raipur. मैं आना जाना, I used to every day I used to travel.
Every day, I mean,
morning, coming back in the night.
Yeah,
it was so difficult and dangerous also, because at that time
no network,
ये जो छत्तीसगढ़ को ना नक्सली एरिया कहते थे, right?
Filled with
And living in
Naxalites.
in Raipur was बहुत difficult था. But somehow बोलते हैं ना कि शायद ऊपर वाले कुछ और मंजूर था. I slowly started building things again, making my, people started understanding कि अच्छा, there is a female who's coming from Nagpur who has, set up an office here, and धीरे वो again फिर start हुआ. So my graph was here when I was in Larsen and Toubro, and it suddenly plunged down because in Raipur I had nothing. बहुत मुश्किल से मैंने अपना वजूद बनाया है. यहाँ पर लोग समझते ही नहीं थे कि इंटीरियर डिज़ाइनिंग क्या है. It was so tough. They used to just laugh behind my back कि अरे ये लेडी क्या करेगी आकर, ये ड्राइंग्स का क्या महत्व है, हम तो अपने बना देंगे भैया, हम ठोक देंगे आपका प्लाई, आप टेंशन मत लो. That sort. It was very tough. But then again 2000 में राज्य बना. It became छत्तीसगढ़. यहाँ पर आपके एयरपोर्ट्स बने, बहुत सारी चीज़ें आई, गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेस बने. धीरे धीरे लोगों को ये तो पता था कि कोई यहाँ पे है जो काम कर रहा है. स्लोली गवर्नमेंट सेगमेंट में मेरा नाम बढ़ता गया, प्राइवेट सेगमेंट में मेरा नाम बढ़ता गया. लोगों ने मेरे को देखा, उन्होंने मेरा काम देखा, उन्होंने समझा इस बारे में. एंड देन अगेन इंटीरियर डिज़ाइनिंग केम अप.
Of course, every sunrise comes after a dawn.
Yes.
So is your journey.
Yes.
So what's your design philosophy?
So Anmol, I am like a human being which I love doing things which is very luxurious, very glamorous, and it should be a fusion.
Okay.
I don't trend into something which is very deep down classical or very deep down modern. Okay. So it is a blend. But उस blend को भी मैं अपने स्टाइल में करती हूँ. So that becomes a little modern luxury plus a combination of little classical style,
So earthy houses aren't your type.
देखो करना होता तो कर लेती हूँ. Because उसमें भी अपना कुछ मैं, I put in
can
my
infuse
input.
your creativity.
Yes. That is right.
And Satyadeep, how about you? What's your design philosophy?
So for me, I believe in creating spaces that actually suffice the user's intent.
Okay.
But if you ask me, like, what is my core philosophy, I am a total maximalist, and I love classical designing. I like intricate working. I do not like plain lines. Yeah, I know how to do it, but if given a choice, I will go for the bolder one. So yeah.
Okay. So when we say rock, paper, scissor, which best suits your design philosophy?
I think for me, rock.
For me to rock.
Okay. So I can see that's quite a blend. Now I know why you two are working together.
No, yes. I mean, the reason I say rock is because like I like something that stays permanent. I like permanence in my designs. I want it to be symbolic. I want it to be a statement. So I think rock describes it the best. Yes.
Very
For
nice.
me to that same thing, because you know what, whoever sees a particular design comes to know that this is Shilpi's design. So,
Yeah.
so that
You have a
permanence,
signature
yes,
statement
signature
set
statement
now.
style. So I also feel that everything has its whatever we design should stay with, which should go along with you. And of course, every era there is a change of design style, a change of, but then still whatever is your personality, whatever is your style statement, it should prevail. आप चाहे किसी भी ट्रेंड में आप उसको ट्रेंडिंग करो या जो भी करो, लेकिन आपकी जो स्टाइल स्टेटमेंट वो रहनी चाहिए. That is what I follow, and I will always follow that all my life.
Correct. So any designer you two are inspired by?
We have a common Zaha
Yeah, Zaha
Hadid.
Hadid.
Yeah, like somebody who really inspired
Yes.
both of us. I mean, architecture-wise, she was one of the people who really broke the shackles of design and explored her, her ideas in the most dramatic forms. At the same time, very beautiful. I think both I got inspired by her is because somewhere down the line, before I knew Zaha Hadid, I had seen something similar with my mom as well.
Oh.
So she also had to break through a complete shackles of societal norms of how what designer is and what interior.
She's an Iranian, right?
Zaha Hadid was an Iranian.
Yeah.
My mom is Bengali.
Of course.
Yeah, Zaha Hadid was an Iranian architect, and I'm not sure Iranian or Iraqi, but
Yeah, but you know what, that woman actually holds in so much of style, so much of perfection, so much of beautiful amalgamation of her own persona with the design was an amalgamation of boldness as well as
Her own character.
yes.
This is what you
Yes.
see. These are the
Yes.
similarities you
Yes.
see between her and
Yes.
your mom.
yeah.
And then as a woman, and from that era, she had so much of opposition when she was working and she was making her name. You understand, being a Muslim woman, बहुत सारा चीजें होता है.
उस
See,
समय, yes.
उस समय का,
उस समय का वैसा था,
हाँ,
yeah,
traditional mindset. But उसने वो जो किया है is absolutely
Fantabulous.
fantabulous is the right word.
Yes.
I think itna intricate thinking itself shows what brain she had, what power she had. She's a wonderful powerhouse actually. Yes, she was. Yes.
So Shilpi, can you please tell us, does interior designing come with a cost, a heavy cost?
No, I don't think so. If it is done meticulously, if you know the subject and you are well versed with how you have to manage and give the best to your clients, it is definitely not so, because we as professionals, we know where and how things can be managed, where and how things needs to be managed, and where and how we can give the best of the output to the client. So I think it is one of the most important factor. जो भी घर बना रहा हो, ऑफिस बना रहा हो, कमर्शियल स्पेस बना रहा हो, डेफिनेटली किसी प्रोफेशनल को हायर करना बहुत बहुत ज़रूरी है. और इसमें आप अपना और दूसरे का वक्त भी बचाते हैं. एंड आई थिंक टाइम इज़ मनी. So we today's world is so fast paced that we need to understand where and how we can save money. So hiring a professional will always help you. He or she will definitely guide you and make your things and your life much more beautiful and comfortable.
Right. But does that also come with a good taste?
Absolutely. Because when you are in the market, you are in a sea of, ideas.
Right.
And you don't know as to what and how and where you will end up to. So definitely a professional can help you, and I think it can be tastefully done as per your own personality, as per your own perspectives also.
Right.
Also, I think I would like to add that designers and architects, they bring efficiency into your building.
So true.
And the most important thing is, once you have an efficient project, you will always save money.
Yes.
And it is a designer's job to get things, I mean, get more done out of lesser things.
Right.
So, you might, as a non-professional designer, might keep adding things and not get that glamour. And maybe a designer would just add a few elements, maybe a part of what you would have thought of, and it will still make that space glamorous, maybe the color combination or whatever it is.
Right.
So that is important.
And it will look richer also. So at the end of the day, the person who is actually getting it done may also say, ये हमने बहुत सारा पैसा लगा के किया.
Yeah. No, that's a boasting point. I'll be honest
That's
with
a
you.
boasting point, Redha.
One of the biggest compliments that we normally get from our clients is the boasting value that they get after getting work done. Is like if we've done something, let's say X amount, and it looks like 3x, and they project it as 5x. So they have like that boasting factor, and it looks
So
good.
much of satisfaction.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And many times, Anmol, it is like quite disheartening also, because if I've done it for X amount, I shouldn't be projected as 5x.
Yeah, and the projection about the designers become 5x. So we are the expensive guys.
Yeah.
You understand?
We are tagged
Absolutely.
as,
Expensive design.
Yes.
मैम आएगी या संदीप आएगा तो बहुत खर्चा हो जाएगा. That is what it is done.
Reflected as.
So that
So
is
sometimes it is positive and sometimes negative also.
But
So
we enjoy it,
it's
we
okay.
enjoy it.
We
That's
enjoy
absolutely
it.
fine.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, till the time it's giving you a big name and fame,
Yes,
why
yes.
wouldn't you enjoy
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. It's absolutely fine.
So Satyadeep, when someone makes a new house, are there any important tips you would like to share with our viewers?
So, Anmol, in today's generation, I think new houses are very, very, made with a lot of effort and a lot of dreams and aspirations. I think a few things that people should take care of while they're designing a new house. First and foremost is take good materials into consideration. Like, don't opt for the cheaper materials. It might save you a few penny on the dollar or whatever it is, but in the long run it will always come back to haunt you. That is one. I would also suggest there's this thing called grate slab, which is normally done on the ground floor. I would suggest all designers and everyone who's watching this that they should go for this grate slab to prevent any kind of seepage from the bottom, because ground seepage is something that cannot be rectified ever once you're done with things.
Oh God. Okay.
So that is something that I would suggest. Like, do consider grate slab in your projects. And I think the third thing is people talk about sustainability. People talk about a lot of having energy efficient designs, and they really underestimate natural light and air. So I would suggest larger openings. I know the stigma of having, oh nahi, bada window rahe to garmi hoga and all those things. We understand that, but having larger windows saves a lot of effort in terms of light and ventilation. At the same time, once you have glass, it's a finished product. You don't need to apply any other material to it.
Right.
So it is actually saving you more than actually thinking about कि नहीं ज़्यादा लग जाएगा and then how will you manage the space. So I think glass and windows and are very, very, very friendly in terms of design. I know we are in the eastern part of the world where sun temperatures and equatorial regions are really hot and humid and all those things, but if done in the right balance, I think large windows and glass can really help you.
That's nice. Very well. So if you're looking for more such architectural insights, don't forget to follow Urban Saints on Instagram. So Shilpi ma'am, coming to you, can you please tell us 3 interior styling tips that you would like to share with our viewers?
Well, see, once the house is made and your furniture is set and still your house does not look glamorous or as you wanted it to be, I would love to put in some few things where my place will look very, very nice and very beautiful. The first thing which I really would want to put is greens.
Okay.
You know, if you can make it artificial greens also, okay. But if it is natural green, it is much more better.
Okay.
Yeah. So greens actually create a very beautiful ambience. It gives so much of soothing effect to your eyes. It sometimes greens which help in the air circulation also, and you know, I think oxygen levels and also can be taken care by them. Right. Because it's so much of energy being, you know, consumed by a space, lights and all that. तो थोड़ा बहुत वो भी manage करता है, right? The second thing which makes thing look more beautiful is the soft furnishings. For example, you have a beautiful sofa and you do not have lovely cushions on that. So my emphasis could be a normal simple sofa, but my styling is more towards, you know, drapes and throws and lovely cushions on it. So वो बहुत सुंदर उसका look आ जाता है, right? Then the third thing which can also come into picture is using of nice paintings and you know, mirror frames. They make the wall look very beautiful. If you have a barren wall and you have nothing in it, no element of such things there, वो बड़ा सूना सा लगता है. So if you when you put a nice painting or a glass mirror, as per Vastu also, if I take that also into consideration, then it gives a very beautiful and lovely effect to that entire space. So I think these 2-3 things actually make your house look.
They're beautiful.
Yes.
And they're very easy to do as well. I think
Very easy to
maintain.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you are looking for such interior styling tips, please don't forget to follow Creations by Shilpi Sonar on Instagram. So can you please tell us about some of the trends, the designing trends that are running right now?
See, for me, of course, I think the neoclassical will go on for a longer time.
Okay.
It has started. So classical tamed into neoclassical, then the other trends are following, Wabi Sabi and Moroccan, and you know, there are so many, you name them and you get them on Insta. Right. But then what actually suits our Indian culture, our places, our spaces is more of neoclassical. Okay. Because our lifestyle, our thinking, our personalities are such that we majorly blend into this sort of a design style. Right. So I think styling definitely is very personal. Yeah, but as a designer, I would always train my people. I was always educate my clients in such a way that they do not, you know, forget their, or they should inherit what they have from, you know, because we are all living in, you know, like we are 4 generations living together,
right.
3 generations living
Absolutely.
together. Suddenly you give them a very modern style, it does not go well.
So true.
Right? Yeah. For a younger couple, modern styles are perfect. But for people who are grandmothers and, you know, then our age people, they do not really blend with modern style. So they really need to blend, you know, their styles. So I think neoclassical is one of the most beautiful style, or rather fusion can be.
So safe to play with.
Safe to play with, yes.
Yeah.
And Satyadeep, when you design houses, like when you look at it from the architectural point of view, do you ever take care of the weather? Do you think weather conditions plays an important role?
Absolutely. Contextual understanding about any building is very important. It's very hard to, you know, be blind towards the contextual understanding, the weather surroundings, the climatic conditions of that space, and you know, designing a building that. So nowadays, everybody wants a house that can be placed anywhere.
Right.
So if you actually browse across the internet, you will find designs that might fit in Dubai, might fit in Bombay, might fit in Raipur, might fit in any other place in the world, because the design philosophy stays the same. But for us, when I design things, my understanding starts from the contextual understanding.
Okay.
I like to maximize views. I like to, you know, make spaces that are unique to that site.
Okay.
In my projects and our projects, you will always find spaces that are very, very tailor-made to your understanding as a user. It can't be picked and put somewhere else.
Yes.
It will not work.
Absolutely.
And that, I think, gives any designer, if they can do something like that, it gives them a more sense of, you know, it gives a better sense of understanding. And the client also likes that, because they know that this space cannot be executed anywhere else, because the challenges are different, the contexts are different, the views are different. So yes, having said that, in India, Vastu makes a lot of these spaces look the same.
Absolutely.
And then it's the architect's intent or their perception of how they modernize or elevate the entire space with their elevations and other things. So yeah.
Certainly. So knowing that the two of you have done most of the projects together, has there also been times when you have not done projects together, wherein you have done only the architectural work and interior designing is done by somewhere else? And I know for a fact you have done interior designing for multiple architects. Yes. So does it become challenging then to work with different interior designers?
So basically, in my career span, there has been only one instance where I've done the architecture and somebody outside our office has done the interiors. It's still ongoing right now, so I'm not 100% sure how it turns out. But to be precise, till now there has not been such a major challenge in my life. Mostly, people come to us for complete solutions, and it's much more easier to coordinate and communicate in one building itself. Like in one building, in one office, when you're doing all aspects of a space or all aspects of a new design, it's much more convenient for the client. They don't have to batter their head around in different offices at different timelines and different scheduling and stuff like that. So it makes coming to one-stop solution makes it much more efficient. And I think efficiency is one of the most important things in architecture.
It is indeed. So if you could design a house for a celebrity, who would that be?
For me, it could be Karan Johar.
Wow. So why Karan Johar?
I think Mr. Karan Johar is a human being who is very bold. He is very dynamic. He knows what he wants. I love people who know what they want.
People who come with clarity.
Absolutely. Because it makes our life very easier. So if you tell me, Shilpi, do this for me. I love this, I love that. And from your styling, give me a proper place to live in. It will be very easier for me. But if you waver, it becomes very difficult for a designer to cater to your needs, right? Karan Johar is a human being who I feel is, he knows what
he wants.
Very straight on it. So I would love to do work for him. He loves bold colors. He loves what I love is gold. He loves larger than life things. Yes, of course. I've seen his recent pad, and I think it's mind-blowing. Gauri Khan has done it.
Yeah.
And I wish one day Karan, calls me up and says, Shilpi, I want this done.
I hope that day soon.
So let's see. Let's hope for the best. Yes.
And Satyadeep, if you could design a house for a fictional character, who would that be and why?
So I've always been a huge fan of Batman. Okay. And I think, the fictional character Batman has a lot of money. and I think he can, furbish the ideas that I have. So I am much more, people tag mom as an expensive designer. They haven't seen what I design. So
really?
yeah, that's why I don't get into interiors. Architecture people can absorb, but I am very, very exuberant in terms of what I want in my interior spaces. So,
in your vision?
In my vision, specifically about interiors though.
Okay.
So I think, Batman would be a perfect.
His thought process is very different. So
I am somebody that if I design a space, it would be unique to that space only, and that is the intent. Like you will not find it out of the market.
Okay.
So that is something that,
Okay. So when we talk about you two working together, what is the future of Sonars?
I hope a bright one.
Of course, we can see that.
Much brighter one that was there earlier, and it is still prevailing. And we have one more vertical to our designing system. And of course, we three are going to create ripples.
To be honest, I think our ideas of moving ahead incorporates a lot of, coexistence.
Okay, right.
Because that is one of the most important things that we've learned. And you have to understand that we are also two generations working together. Her thought processes, her experiences have been completely different. My thought process, my experiences have been completely different. We have worked in different sectors and now we're working together. So that gives a lot of insight from my end and her end.
Right.
So I bring the innovation and she brings the experience where, it's a harmony. Sometimes my innovation is shut down because experiences, the problems, she can foresee it.
Right.
And then sometimes she gets to experiment something new because my ideas might inspire her as well. So, it's a give and take relationship. And we
Right.
both have to understand our limits as well. Okay, where we have to, let go of our instinct and let the other one take over.
Correct.
So this is something that we are learning, and the things that we are doing right now are genuinely quite amazing. And we are looking forward for these things to come into existence. They're almost there. And we are doing very exciting things. And it's so much fun to see the enthusiasm in mom's eyes.
The
when
fire in her soul.
Yeah, like it's amazing, like more power to her, like it is so nice. I keep pushing her. She says कि यार और अच्छा क्यों नहीं करता? And I'm like, यार mom, मैं तो सोचा ही नहीं था. चलो ठीक है. I'll push for more. So she's like one big, like there's a steam engine behind the train as well who's pushing me forward, right? Like it's not just me moving forward. So I think that way.
So any dream project that you have accomplished which you want to talk about?
There have been many such projects which have been quite spectacular, to be honest. Like, I think every project that we are now completing has so many stories and so many memories that we were talking about previously. And all of them are larger than life.
But anything then in the future that you would want to do as a dream project?
I would like to come to that. Ki there are a few projects we don't want to state it right now.
Okay.
I will keep you posted. But there are very exciting things coming up.
Yes, you have to stay tuned to us.
So please tell me about your achievements. I'm sure in so many years of experience, you have multiple achievements. So please enlighten us with a few.
Yeah, a lot of them are there, and I've been awarded nationally and internationally also. But something which is very close to my heart is the national award, which I received last year, 2023. It is from Indian Building Congress, and that was there in Delhi. I was chosen as one of the most prominent women entrepreneurs of the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it gives me a very big high as well as responsibility also, that I must do much more better work in the future. And of course, these are small stepping stone towards success rather. And it really it highlights or gives boosting to whatever that I have done all my years, whatever hardships I have gone through, whatever best I could do to give back to my society, because Chhattisgarh gives me everything. It has given me everything. My entire journey of my career, I actually owe it to this place. So I feel very, very proud when people from different places come to know that there is a woman in Chhattisgarh and who's doing whatever I'm doing today. Yeah. So it really gives me so much of pleasure and so much of happiness. So I think it is a give and take relationship with the this society and myself. And for this only, I actually started with my institute, aesthetic, which really wherein I really wanted to promote and give a lot of growth to the younger generations from here, who would also become something sometime in their life, because this profession is such that it can give you so much of happiness. It can boost up your creativity. So I think I really wanted to do something for women. And you won't believe, in my institute, if I have trained almost 3,500
plus
children.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Yeah.
and most of the children who have been trained or mentored by me are doing wonderful all across the globe. They are working in US, they are working in Bangalore, they are working in Italy, where in I can't tell you. So I'm so happy and I feel so blessed that yes, that I could do something, you know, and I will till the last breath of my life, I can promise you, Anmol, I will do this and I will keep training children, and I really want to be a part of their future. So
Of course. So these achievements give you so much of rush. Still, you're so grounded. Like hats off to that.
thank you
trait.
so much, thank you.
And Satyadeep, what about your achievements?
So I would like to be very mellow about it. So I mean together I think right now what in a household when you have Shilpi Sonar as your mother, most of your achievements seem very.
That's okay. We would
Yeah, I
still
know.
love to hear about one.
I know
at
it's
least.
absolutely fine. What I think is the best is yet to come. I mean, I would like to elaborate that my biggest achievement in life is to get, you know, the kind of satisfaction in her eyes when we finish off a project and when she sees the kind of work that I'm doing, because her approval has always been one of my biggest, you know, pat in the back. To be honest, like yeah, there are many things that I have done in my life as well. I was the first person to go to the A School of Architecture in London from all of Central India.
Wow.
And I've had the pleasure of, you know, working with very renowned designers across the world. And I've as far as reached and submitted drawings to Brazilian authorities as well. So yeah, that way, yeah, there
That
have been
bigger achievements
there are
to be
bigger achievements,
celebrated.
yes, for sure. But somehow I would like to, you know, attribute all that in terms of, I believe that recognition comes when you impact people, and I would want to, you know, follow her footsteps and how she impacted so many people's lives. She has given an entire generation the idea of a new way of working. There's living, there's lifestyle elevation and motivation to so many. If female empowerment is one of the biggest assets that she has contributed to to Raipur.
Absolutely.
And I know that this space was nothing special, and yet today it is the biggest ground for, you know, breaking work for interiors
Right.
and architecture. Out of all the places
Right,
in
you're
India,
absolutely
you're
right.
still coming to Raipur to do these things, and somewhere down the line, it is all attributed back to her and her peers. But I still think she has a little higher value.
So that is so true when you said this about her, because girls from Delhi and Mumbai, especially in city like Mumbai, they have
Yeah.
such small houses. They want to get married in a city like Raipur
Yes,
because
yes,
the people
absolutely.
here have lavish big bungalows.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
and which is again created by creations by Shilpi Sonar. So we have to give credits to you
Yeah,
for that.
absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
So what's your go-to approach when a client is unclear on their vision?
Many a times, actually 80% of the times it is like that. So it is the best thing that we can do for such people is like make them understand exactly the styles of design first. Then briefing about their family and their style of living. And then how these two can be inculcated, amalgamated, and the nichod, bolte na. So he exactly understands where do I stand and what do I get from here in future. So the elevation of his style which he had earlier and what I'm giving him after I finish the project could be one whole dream or a journey or a visionary understanding. So this can be depicted by designs which I show him directly, what I have made and what I have done earlier, or which is there now very free on hand by Pinterest, or which I don't really like, but many a times because they are not that educated that they will understand what my idea to give them is. Nowadays people want three-dimensional pictures. Two-dimensional pictures में उन्हें समझ में नहीं आता है. ये मैडम कैसे दिख रहा है काला काला समझ में नहीं आता है. So they want colorful things. So we make those three-dimensional pictures. Then to add on to that, we make walkthroughs. कि भाई आप अपने घर में जब एंटर करोगे तो आपका घर इस तरह से दिखेगा and you know you take them to all the spaces and you come back to the so that is the way we make them or educate them. If the client knows what he wants, it is very easy for us. Then just a sketch and just verbal communications are more than enough.
Right.
But if a client does not understand and he does not really, he is not aware of what he wants, then actually the whole drama starts.
But tell me, if a client is coming to you, keeping the Instagram reels in mind, is that a lot more challenging than a client coming with no vision or unclear vision? What is more challenging?
No, I think a guy with Instagram reels is more challenging. To be honest, like, what happens is, designing a space is actually, as rightly put, is a journey. It's not a one-stop solution. It never is. Any design that is done in one go will never be right.
Yes.
It has to falter. It has to be mended, and then
So
you
true.
get the real picture. Every masterpiece, every space that you stay in has been done like that.
Yes.
We talk about all these century-old buildings. All have gone through that process. Nobody came with. I mean, ऐसा नहीं था कि ताजमहल एक दिन में बन गया था. शाहजहां ने रिजेक्ट किया होगा कुछ ideas, right? And then आज भी उसके बारे में बात होती है.
Like Rome was not built.
Yeah,
in a
Rome was
day.
not built in a day, right? Exactly. So what we do is, see, there are many verticals to it. I'll explain. I'll elaborate. This is for everybody who's watching. The easiest option is giving it 3D. That is the easiest option. That we have designed something. This is the final image. This is the image that you will get, and this is the house that you will stay in, or space that you will stay in. That is the easiest option. Second option of understanding is by talking about what their family principles are. A lot of times we just converse with the clients. कि आप बताओ आपके घर पे क्या है? What is your lifestyle? When do you wake up? When do you sleep? When you talk to the person, you start understanding what is their life. And then you start integrating things that manage to their space, like
Right.
they can own up to that space. They don't wake up to a space कि यार ये मेरे लिए relevant नहीं है.
Which we actually don't actually go ahead with such things. Yes.
No, a lot of clients are like, नहीं आप मुझे 3D पहले दे दो, हम समझ लेंगे. And we are like absolutely anti 3Ds.
Yes.
Because I think the death of creativity is when you directly print an image. It might be controversial to a lot of artists. This is how we work. We would like to keep our options open because it's an ever evolving field. It is not a definitive field. There is no definition of final product. So if I paint a picture and I'm not allowed to evolve, then I'm not doing justice to that space.
Right.
Because the project also takes breathing time. It takes a 6, 7, 8 months or a year to come into the existence.
Gestation period. That is what is
gestation period. And there's evolution in design every day. Every day we are also learning new things. Every day we are also seeing new Instagram reels. So like the problem with Instagram kind of guy is that they will always find something new.
But through Instagram, don't you think imitation, like if someone will see a Shilpi Sonar creation or an urban scene creation, imitation makes the work too common and then nothing is left to appeal anyone. So don't you think it's a lot more difficult to please your clients now with your own creativity?
That is absolutely true, because as I said, if I appease a client's desire at today, tomorrow he'll have something else in mind, and this design will be obsolete for him. So what that does is, it is an insatiable hunger that they have for designs.
Something new.
And they're like, aur dikhaiye. This is not a catalog. We are not in a sari showroom. You understand? Like we are in a particular space where all aspects need to be considered. A lot of times people say कि bed अपन नया क्यों नहीं ले सकते? या if you want to change the bed, the electrical layout, the ceiling layout, the lighting layout, everything has to change. The material palette will change. So if they ask for one change, we have to do 20 drawings to get that thing incorporated in that particular space.
Because of the technical constraints.
Absolutely. Because this is an architecture, is an engineering field. You can't change a product just because you don't like it.
Right.
There's thought process. There's a sequence of work that has come to this. there's a reason why the wheel was invented, and the wheel has been like that since then. You know, like there have been so many modifications to it, but you know, you have to follow principles that, you know, it's technical. I mean, it has to be understood by people. A lot of today's world thinks that this is like choosing a fashion accessory, but it's not. It's not. It's like tattoos. Once you get it done, it's hard to change it again. And it's very painful. You have to understand that. So yeah, and a lot of money is put, a lot of effort is put in making a space, and they get bored of it in 5 years or 3 years. That is the maximum capacity that people have nowadays for spaces, because they want to integrate something new.
But I think that's where interior designing comes in, wherein like when we had a meeting with Shilpi Sonar, she said she wants to change her house every now and then.
Yes.
So when we have someone like her, everyone can have a transformed space, even if the architectural space remains the same, the layout remains the same with her intricate designs.
I'll answer that.
Yes, please.
The reason that happened was because she did not design the space as per her. There was an architect to the house.
Okay.
That was not Satyadeep Sonar. There was some other architect in the house who at that point of time gave them an image and painted a picture, and that is what they went for, thinking कि हम इसको furbish कर लेंगे.
Okay.
This was her design or genre at that point of time.
Okay.
With me in the picture, now the sequence, now we plan for 10 years ahead. Our design aspirations are never about appeasing what is happening around now. We always plan for at least 8 years ahead. I'm not talking only about designs, I'm also talking about technologies. So, you know, I give extra, effort in making sure the client is well versed with whatever is new that is coming in. Not there.
By new, do you mean the smart house concept which are coming in?
Yes, there are so many. So the house is now like an app. Like you have to upgrade and update it all the time. Your TV screens are updating. Your internet schemes are updating. You have smart hobs. You have smart fridges. You have smart washing machines. You have vacuum systems. You have air conditioning. Everything is smart.
The smart locks.
Smart lock, everything. Like to get inside a house and to get out of the house, you have to be smart now. so you know, like I think I always my clients are like, इतना क्यों घुमा रहे हो? भैया आपको घूमना जरूरी है, क्योंकि 2 दिन में कुछ नया चीज आ जाएगा और आप बोलोगे यार हमारे आर्किटेक्ट ने बताया नहीं. And that is something that I say. Like the third option that I was talking about, when people come without clarity, we'd like to take them to spaces. कि ठीक है, आपको 3D नहीं समझ में आ रहा, आपको 2D समझ में आ रहा, आप चलो. Go to spaces, you know, go to maybe shops, maybe lighting stores, maybe whatever. You get a gist of things that are available.
Right.
And suddenly there are certain things that cannot be projected on a computer screen, whether it is 2D or 3D or hand sketch. Some things cannot be projected on a piece of paper.
It can't, clearly.
Sometimes it's an experience that changes your vision or changes your thought process about a space. So there are so many people who are doing this every day, every now and then. Why not make use of it? I genuinely believe that experiences give the biggest perspective towards how you want to live.
Right.
And once you know how you want to live, designing a space for that person is so much easier.
Makes sense. So Satyadeep, when people nowadays have a very common problem of seepage,
Yes.
can you please enlighten our viewers that how can we deal with seepage?
Oh my God, that is like, I think everyone is pediatric with that only. Like I think
Every household has this.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about construction that somehow water is almighty and all powerful, and it somehow comes inside. Like it's like we have faltered as well. I will not say that, you know, like it has always been a smooth sailing, but there have been issues that we have also faced, you know, trying to take all precautions possible.
Yes.
But then again, there have been places where we have succeeded with zero effort, and I mean, we have with our thinking, and there have been no problem. So there is no post-production measures that we've taken. So one of the few things that I would like to point out is something called a coating, or it's maybe used like weather shield paints and some polymers that are repellent to water. It's available everywhere. It's available for clothes, for shoes, for everything. Why not for your building? So use those kind of exterior facades, paint and stuff like that repel water.
Okay.
So these chemical treatments are there. I think for somebody who is already suffering from it, you can just use this. For people who are making a newer house, if your budget permits and if you are comfortable in terms of cladding, I think dry cladding is one of the best ways of allowing you to have seepage free walls. Because
so you are absolutely, you get rid of seepage then?
I mean, if you still get seepage, you're really unlucky. Like,
There is no permanent solution to seepage then.
Obviously, I mean, you can't stop water from entering spaces, but this dry cladding method is one of the ways of where you actually have a couple of inches between the actual wall, a plastered wall, and a stone or a tile cladding in front. So, you have a gap. Even if water seeps in, it seeps through the gap in between. It does not permeate the wall.
So it's the most effective method.
For me, yeah, to an extent, yes, it is. Then some people are very unfortunate where they get ground seepage. Water comes from within, and that is like one of the most frustrating things ever, because you can't do anything about it. No matter what you do, how many coats you do, or whatever you can think of, it's very hard to solve that issue. So I have discussed this earlier, that if you're making a new house, try to integrate a grate slab in your project. It will help you save that kind of water retention. The second effort, if once you are done with a house and you are still getting underground seepage, so you can use very thin 1 mm. It's a very tedious. I have to give a disclaimer. It's a very tedious thing, and it is going to take a lot of effort and costing. But you have to insert 1 mm thick SS plates.
Okay.
At the base level where your foundation, not your foundation, where your plinth and your walls are coming. So that steel plate, you have to insert it. So it's a retro-fitting, very tasking thing.
Okay.
Once you feed that SS plate, then you might be a little more, I think you will be safe from seepage. That is a solution, but it comes at a price. To avoid that, please integrate grate slab. You'll be much better that way.
Okay, thank you
Happier,
so much
yes.
for that.
I swear.
And Shilpi, for you, can you please tell us that these days space issues have become a big problem? So how can one deal with space issues?
Well, I think we are doing something very unique for people, and I think I can share that with all of you who are making a new home or a house. You can integrate one single area specially for your storage. यूजली क्या होता है, पहले स्टोरेज में मतलब आपके विंटर वेयर्स और ये सब यूजली लोग रखते थे,
पार्टी वेयर्स,
या विंटर वेयर्स इन सेंस रजाई, कंबल, ये सब रखने के लिए सबके घरों में एक छोटा सा स्पेस होता था जहाँ पे डंप कर देते सारी चीजें. अब हमें
और अंडर द बेड,
under the bed, yes.
We can have a common closet area now. We
call it the master closet concept.
It's a master closet concept, yes, wherein I am providing a lot of spaces for your clothes which you don't wear daily. Okay. Right? Which is basically your party wears, your winter wears, your summer wears, your autumn wears, whatever you say it. And there I am incorporating one big mirror also, wherein if you are going for a marriage and you want to call in for somebody who's going to do you up, so वहीं पे आपका सारा चीज हो जाता है. You can give a wash basin there, you can do
like a salon privy.
Yes. So that sort of a thing is like, I think it could be made mandatory, because जो bedrooms and जो dressing rooms होती हैं इतना नहीं होता है. There we can because every woman and every man now needs
their own space.
Space.
No one wants to compromise on space.
Then we have shoes, then we have your bags and so many things which we all want, to be placed properly. Because so I will always suggest that we can have a place where you can have a common closet concept.
If you have space, I think common closet. And then also I think men are very deprived of spaces in these areas, and like talking for all the men out there, I think our existence in terms of cupboards is minimal, and we do all the makeshift arrangements. So yes, something that we could do for storages could be, integrating hidden panels, like, a little bit of, yes, you might be compromising a little bit of space, but use the bed back, maybe use the wardrobe niches or whatever it is, wall niches, to integrate. So we have started making smaller, sleeker cabinets now.
Okay.
So rather than having a traditional long wide cabinet, there are sleeker cabinets for men, which
Okay.
can gather these spaces much more conveniently and not take up a lot of space from your existing area as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are small things that we do.
That's a great move.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for these insights. And if you're loving these insights, please hit subscribe and the notification bell for more such updates. Stay tuned. So now let's get started with some light-hearted questions,
Yes.
and let's get to the rapid fire round.
Sure.
So if your design style was a food, what would it be and why?
I would say dessert, like something that's satisfies your soul in the end. So yeah, all kinds of dessert, whatever your choices.
Wow. What's the strangest item a client has insisted on keeping in their redesigned space?
Very strange thing is like they wanted that they have those age-old traditional lockers with them. They are all heighted and big ones, because I actually design houses for big people. So वो हमें बिल्कुल चाहिए है, because शिल्पी मैम वो हमारे लिए बहुत important है, and definitely I incorporate them because I do not want to so I feel that whatever they are comfortable with is very important.
But then there are certain things, like people like to keep back their beds, their sofas. They want to redo the things.
Yeah.
People, I mean, old clients, पहले के ज़माने में everybody had like expensive stuff. They want to retain the chौखट, है ना? They want to retain the
Yes.
doors,
Yes.
because
Right.
teak है, अभी
Teak
कहाँ
wood,
मिलेगा?
Antique,
yes,
absolutely.
teak.
So,
Because teak is obsolete now.
Nah,
तो
you
मिलता
can't,
नहीं है.
मतलब, yeah, there's channels that you can buy
yes.
teak. So, authentic wood
का जो भी
things,
सामान होगा,
you don't
Well,
want
that is more valuable to
valuable,
them.
yes.
Yes, I think
And of course valuable in this era also. बहुत अब तो things are not available. Teak, pure
yeah,
teak
I mean,
is not available.
it is quite a challenge, because what happens is, nowadays when the heights of doors and windows are going taller, it's hard to keep the 7. Sometimes they have 6 feet 6 inches ka chaukhar. You can just barely pass through, like, and they're so adamant ki nahi, hum nahi isko change karenge. So it is sometimes a little more tricky. Yes.
Okay. What's the most unusual place you have found design inspiration?
When I was young, I had a wall clock.
Okay.
Which was, I was very young, so there was a wall clock which looked like a wheel from a supercar.
Okay.
So it had like really smart silver spokes and obviously rubber, black rubber, and somehow I was living in a green room that point in time, and I saw that wheel and I said, Mom, I want color scheme like this. And I went out. I was not, I think I'd gone somewhere for a vacation or something like that. So by the time I came back, Mom redid my room with silver, not silver, grey and black.
Grey and black, yes.
And then I had like a red wall. So I think inspirations can come from anywhere. And this is
Right.
pre-internet era, where like, again, so that wall clock, which was a tire basically, we got inspiration from there. Yes. And she said, if you want this, I'll give it to you. So, and that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the color scheme you always follow? One favorite color scheme?
What do you like?
I to love black.
Okay.
Yeah, it is controversial, yes, but I like
about you?
gold and black. Yeah, like somehow I like to integrate that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They look very majestic. They look very dynamic.
It adds a grandeur.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, it gives you a sense of richness. Yes, you're right. That's a bit of grandeur. Yeah.
If your partner could ban one decor item from your home, what would they choose?
For me, it will be glass.
Yeah.
What
too many
about you?
glassware. For me, I think no. I'm the one who will be banning things. So not.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever used as a makeshift design tool on a job?
Basically, I have made a very designer element into furniture,
Okay.
right? So I have taken the Thai theme and I've made
Dragon.
a dragon as a base for a dining table. So
Wow.
something that I
That's fancy.
Yeah, that's
I
fancy.
was very
yes,
fancy.
yes.
I think one of those tables when I was very young when I saw that, it was really out of the world. Like nobody knew कि ऐसा कुछ बन सकता है.
Yes.
Nobody anticipated कि ऐसा कुछ बन सकता है.
And you just got a vision executed.
Yes.
Yes, it was amazing.
Seeing a small element of a dragon, usually the feng shui thing was on at that time. And that is, I think, very weird it
And
was.
this is, I think, back
Today,
in
nobody
2000.
will make this.
And this is back in 2000.
Yes.
Wow.
So yeah, really long time back.
Yes, yes.
Quite a hidden talent.
So that
Which you've always had.
that feng shui element was my tool rather.
Uh-huh.
What's the most ridiculous design trend you secretly love?
I criticize it openly, but I love it inside. Inside is I think brutalism. Like,
Okay.
I think although I think the buildings look very old and get outdated very soon because you have to keep raw concrete as your facade, but somehow it satisfies one very important aspect of my design sense, that is timelessness. It looks fabulous over all these years. So yeah, I think
Okay.
something that I don't like but I still love. Yeah.
Okay. And what about you? One ridiculous design trend you secretly love?
I think art deco. That is something so ridiculous. Basically, when you actually see to it, it is a blend of everything.
An abstract.
An abstract, and you can really feel sometimes uncomfortable, probably maybe because it is too much. It is
very loud.
It is very loud, maximalist approach. But I love it from within, and I am trying to, I think, intricate all those things in one of my project. And let me see how it comes up to.
Okay. Satyadeep, what was your room like as a teenager? Shilpi, how much did you let him get away with?
So as a teenager, my room was. So I've always been like a gamer, musician, like one of those kids, right? Who's like
Absolutely boyish.
very boyish and very the things that you see on TV, like yeah, those brats, right? Like, although it did not suit my character, I was a good child, but I always wanted my room to be like a brat. So I don't know if she allowed a lot or not. But
I allowed it because, at the end of the day, I always am a person who wants the other person to be very comfortable. Okay. So if you are comfortable in your zone, that is nothing, उससे अच्छा कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, what I feel so. So and his ideas were not weird. So we blended together his ideas because he was very small. And he always used to tell me, Mama, I want this black, red, grey thing. And in my heart also, I used to love those same, palette. So it was not that very difficult for me. And I actually did what he wanted. So
my room was the
Yes.
place for all my friends.
Yes.
Like, if mom,
Okay.
dad never used to stay home.
So that was a chill lounge.
Yeah, it was the man cave or the boy cave or whatever. All my classmates were there throughout the day.
Wow.
So she somehow, allowed and enabled us to have a space that we could relate to.
Okay.
And somehow all of us grew up in that space together. So that was very nice. Till today, they are like, "Ab kya naya room mein bata de."
What's the most creative excuse you have used for a project delay?
भैया डिजाइनिंग में समय तो लगता है ना.
If your career wasn't in interior design or in architect, what completely unrelated field would you be in?
Well, I could have been a musician. Okay. Yeah, and I could have taken that also to a different level because my entire family is a set of musician in the. My maternal family is into music, so I think I could have taken it a little more ahead.
I could have been a gamer.
Gamer? I thought you just said gynac.
Doctor.
Doctor?
No, but that after 10th I realized that it was not my cup of tea. I would have been a gamer. I mean, to be honest, like I did dwell a lot in my college years into gaming in general, but seeing today's gamers, I think it would have been a very lucrative profession. My God, people are minting money in gaming. And things that they love, yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, what's the one decor item you each can't resist buying, even though you definitely don't need any more of it?
Anything which is glass.
So, you're obsessed with glass.
Obsessed. Glasswares, absolutely obsessed. Any art piece, any piece of furniture, anything which is, for your daily lifestyle, I am like in for
So
it.
in my house, I think we have, Abhi, she has stopped a little bit, but there used to be, so we used to have a collection of Buddhas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there were, I think, 40, there was a time when I was counting. And we counted
God.
up to 40 Buddhas in the house, right? And then, then there was an intervention from mom, ki mom, no more Buddhas now. So all forms, all postures, everything. There were all kinds of Buddhas in our house. So yes, I think that.
And in my design style also, I always put in one Buddha. So usually people say कि अच्छा ये शिल्पी मैम का design है क्या, project है क्या? So that was there earlier also, and now of course I actually always feel that the Buddhism or Buddha gives you a lot of peace. So the thing is there. Yeah, actually yes.
If you could design a pet's dream house, what animal would you choose and what would you include?
So I am in love with dogs. I have a pet and it is a pug, and I understand that they are much more beautiful than we can even perceive. They are one of the most beautiful animal which I have come across. They are so very sensitive. They actually look upon to you as their own when you actually take care of them. So I do not want to part from them whenever I am in my room or something like that. So I want to integrate their bed in my bed. Wow. So that is something which I actually want to do, and I can really design something very beautiful for that. So pet lovers can contact me.
That is a unique idea.
Yes.
So thank you so much for such interesting questions. Now, as we are approaching the end of our podcast, can you please share some words of wisdom for the upcoming generation, for aspiring architects, for aspiring interior designers, some words of wisdom?
So I would like to say a shout out to all the architects, because it's a tough field. And I must tell them very sincerely that to make a mark, you have to understand the common people. So, like a lot of us architects have these egos where we want to be a star architect, and everybody wants to have a unique design concept and a unique, idea, and they want everybody to sort after them for those ideas only. I would really like to tell all aspiring architects that, there's only a handful of them, but majority of people remember architects that have worked for the masses. If you reconsider and think about again in your academics or in your curriculum, you will always see architects that have worked for the masses are more remembered and more revered than people who have worked as a star architect. Because I think we as architects have a major role in the society. We know how to create political reforms, social reforms, and economic reforms. Like, we can do all that with just architecture. We can activate spaces, we can deactivate spaces, we can allow people to talk to each other, we can shut them off completely. It is a art that allows understanding humans in general. And to do justice to that, you need to allow your mind to do the designing rather than apps and AIs and everything else to dictate that. Because the more you depend on tools, the more further you will get away from people. And the more further away you are from people, the lesser of an architect you will ever be. So we need to understand spaces, and I think that is one of the key giveaways that I will ever give to anyone who's aspiring to be an architect. Keep your connect with the user. Don't put your visions in the user's head. Give them the space that they want in your style, but don't impose your ideas on how they should live. So that is something that I would want to give.
Okay, and Auntie, what advice would you like to give the upcoming interior designers?
So, Anmol, I will take his words forward, and I would always say that, because I've been mentoring children, a lot of children, all my years, and why people look upon to me, because I have made my own originality. My designs are original, basically. Now, of course, when we have to follow trends and all that, that is again an amalgamation of my ideas with the trends, right? But I always have in mind one thing which I really want to talk to the younger generations, that they should keep their originality intact. They should do something from themselves. Their ideas should be very fresh, and as Satyadeep says, that they have to take the client with them, understand their inputs and put your inputs together. Same as with me also. I never impose myself on others. I always want their things to come. So be patient, be understanding, and never let your values down. Very, very important. As a woman, I always feel that if you are doing a house, you are entering into so many lives.
Yeah. And for generations.
And for generations. You are touching their lives. Either they will say bad about you, or they'll really remember you for years. So you have to understand that your moral values are very, very important. People should term you as, yes, this woman or this man did this for me. Right. So that those moral values, those ethics are very, very important. And I think in today's life, we need to understand that very, very well. हमें हर उनका आदर करना चाहिए जो जिनसे हमने कुछ सीखा है, कुछ आगे ले जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि आप जो कर रहे हो वो आपके आगे वाले जनरेशन्स आपके साथ भी करेंगे. This is gonna go a long way. So be true to yourself. Be true to the person who has guided you. Be true to the person who is actually looking forward to you. So that is what my say is. And it was such a beautiful thing talking to you, Anmol, because we are two generations sitting here with one generation of you as a part of the new generation, and you understanding and you talking to me, taking out what is there within me, was something very unique.
Thank you so much, Shilpi and Satyadeep, for joining us today. Your story and your incredible journey was so inspiring that we hope our audience and all our viewers get to learn a lot from this. For more such interesting episodes, stay tuned and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thank you.